Is the stock market going to go up or go down from here? Talking about it in this video, my very simple idea on which way the stock market is going to go in 2018. So stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here. Today, I want to talk about my theory, my idea on what the stock market might do in 2018. There's a lot of people trying to call the bottom, a lot of people trying to call the top, and people calling for a massive correction. Well, I figured it out. With this one very simple mathematical equation, I figured it out. I know exactly which way the stock market is going to go in 2018. It's going to go up or down. What? So you're telling me that your idea is that the stock market's going to go up or down? So many people will try to call the top. They'll try to call the bottom. They'll sit here all day long and tell you that the market is going to crash while the market is rallying. I've seen this happen over and over again, where people sit around and say, hey, this is the top, the market's crashing, get ready to sell. Or, hey, this is the bottom, get ready to buy. And the exact time that they say that, the market does the opposite. Nobody has a clue what the market's going to do. If anybody tells you, hey, I have a clue, they don't. Because at the end of the day, we could wake up tomorrow and the market could be at all-time highs, or the market could be at all-time lows. You really just have no idea. I've seen some massive crashes. I've seen some massive rallies over the last 2 years, and they normally just come out of nowhere. I remember when Britain left the euro and the market crashed, and everybody was like, oh, it's going to the end. It's the black swan. The black swan is hitting. But at the end of the day, really, nobody has an idea. Obviously, the market's been very volatile lately. You're sitting here, you're wondering, all right, I'm an investor. I'm holding long term for the next 5, 10 years. Is it better for me to sell now before the market goes lower, or is it better for me to be buying these dips? And obviously, if you look at the overall market, let's look at the overall market. Let's look at this back in 2015. 2015, we were at the 212 area. This crashed, and kind of almost a similar pattern to what's going on right now. So the market crashed from that 215 area down there to 185, bounced back, and then made a new low down there to 188. And then after that, it started to rally. End of 2015, we had this little boom volatility. And then what happened? Started to make this whole move. From the beginning of 2016 till basically the beginning of 2018, the market has been rallying 185 up there to 287. So a massive rally. And the problem is, if you were waiting for the last 2 years for a dip, you might have missed out on this entire move. And it's really hard to call the bottom, to call the top. So people wonder, when should I buy? When's a good time to buy? I think the big thing here is to really just look at your time frame. If you're looking for a long term, looking 5, 10 years from now, it really doesn't matter. The best thing you can do is really just kind of dollar cost average in. So just kind of set aside $500, a month, or whatever you want to invest. Set aside that money and just invest it. You can try to time the market. You can try to wait for a big red day and then buy. You can do that where you wait for a big red day and you try to buy on that day, but sometimes those red days just don't come. Recently, we've had some nice big red days, some volatility. If you look at the daily chart here, the market's been, up, down, all around. I've talked to some big whale investors who said they have sold recently. They got out of the market and they're sitting back and kind of just waiting to see what happens from here. The market could easily rally back to all-time highs. Nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen. But the big thing when you're investing in the stock market is really to just look long-term. Long term, where are we going to be at 10 years from now? A good example I always like to bring up is Nvidia. If you look back here on the daily chart, I talk about this one over and over. But there was a time where people thought Nvidia just could not go any higher. I remember buying Nvidia back there in the $40 area. It got up here to 120, and it was like, well, game over. All the shorts came out. There was a bunch of bear thesis, and people called this the top. They sat around and said, hey, there's no way Nvidia can go higher. So even if you would have bought these tops, even if you would have bought $120 multiple times, look what happened now. It's up there to 250 area. So even buying at the all-time highs in 2017, 2016, if you would have bought Nvidia at all-time highs, you would still be up over $100 really per entry. So the big thing is just to think long-term. Find companies that you can invest in long-term and have a plan in terms of, okay, I can put this money in the market now. As long as I don't have to pull it out tomorrow, I'll be fine. I tell people that all the time. if you're going to invest, only invest money that you're able to live without. So if I invest $30,000 today in the stock market, I better be able to not touch that money for the next 2 or 3 years, because if the market does start to correct, the last thing I want to do is pull out on that first correction, because what's going to happen is I'm going to pull out on the correction and then the market's going to rally. It always happens. If you pull out on the correction, you're going to end up getting stuck, or you're going to be buying into the next big pop, and you're going to end up losing money on the way because you're trying to time the bottom, trying to sell the top. So the big thing here is to remember that the market is going to do what it's going to do, and nobody really has a clue what it's going to do other than long term. It's going to go higher, just in terms of inflation, in terms of the price of everything, the price of goods, these companies getting bigger and bigger, conglomerates getting bigger. Find quality companies, invest in those companies. Look for companies who are building towards the future. NVIDIA, obviously, building graphics cards. They're building AI technology. They're working in the future already today. So they are building products for the future. So what's going to happen to NVIDIA products in the future? Obviously, NVIDIA is going to be a key player in all of these new technologies. Don't invest in companies who are only focused on today. Invest in companies for the long-term technological companies. I really like tech companies because I think tech's, obviously going to grow and grow and grow and become more prominent in everyday life. Everything's going to have some type of technology built into it. Even a pencil in the future is going to be a smart pencil. So there it is. Remember, you can't time the bottoms. You can't time the tops. Just get in for the ride. Find companies that you like and then invest in those companies long term. And don't worry, because overall, the market's going to go to all-time highs in the future. I'll talk to you guys later on.